a lot better. He left. I was like, man, he was really mad.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, it's hard to be mad at people you're working for. I work for the drivers.
Jeff Clark from USA Today. This is for Coach. Coach, I mean, do you have to pinch yourself at what's going on right now? I mean, normally as a car owner, if you see your car leading the race and run out on the last lap, it's probably sort of a gut punch. And here you have another one that comes along and takes the win anyway and continues your streak. I mean, what's this been like for you?
Well, actually in the race today, I was probably like a lot of people. I'm looking at Joey and Kyle figuring, hey, you know, one of these two guys is going to have the best chance. I knew that Matt was in there somewhere close, but I wasn't sure. And then when I see, you know, Joey ran out, then I figured, hey, we've got a chance with Kyle. Kyle runs out. And when I looked up, only thing I saw was that yellow coming off that, and I was thrilled. So it was a big deal today, the way everything played out. But I think you do, and in pro sports, you realize how hard it is to win a race. And when you get in a situation like this, you really want to enjoy it, and I think we do. But we also, I think what keeps you going in pro sports is the nervous part of how easy it is to fall back and have other people, you know, up front, and you trying to catch them, which has been the case for us for most of 14.
Let's go right here to the gentleman to the right there, Janice. And then we'll go to Candace.
Zach Stradiola with the Pocono record. For Matt and Jason, were you guys banking on one more caution with this strategy? Because a lot of you guys came on 123. Were you able to save more, not having to worry about kind of battling for the lead there like Kyle was with Joey?
Came on 123?
123, yeah.
You nuts?
Yeah, I am. I thought, you know, those guys had been pitting one lap before us, so we felt like we knew when the 22 and the 78 and the 18 would pit. 123 was about a lap. We knew it was a lap early, maybe a lap and a half. But if you look back over the last 5 or 6 races, you always get a caution. You know, you always get one. And the big thing is you want to get on and off pit road. We saw it happen to the 15 car today. You know, you get on pit road one lap late and you get that caution, you lose a lot of valuable track position. So it's worth a gamble, and everybody was taking that gamble. So, yeah, we were on pit road, I think, with 4 out of the top, 6 cars at that time. And so we were all taking the gamble. I'm shocked there wasn't a caution, but I'm really glad there wasn't one, obviously.
Go over here to the far right. Candace has one.
Gentleman over here, Candace Smith, drafting the circuits. And for you, Matt.
Left.
I know. I noticed that. I said it real quietly. I was hoping you wouldn't catch it.
I caught it.
Candace to the left.
I was looking over there. I was like, there's nobody over there with the microphone.
I'm like, man.
Go ahead, Candace.
And there's no girls on the side of the table.
Ventriloquist.
It's a talent. Candace Smith, drafting the circuits. Matt, I just want to ask you this. I know that the focus is always this next race and, of course, this season, but it begs the question for Pocono, when you come back here in June, will the memory muscle kick in? I'm sure right now you're still a little bit in shock, but, I mean, you've quipped here before, I've never seen the media center before.
Yeah, in shock. I mean, I'm bad, but not that bad.
Well.
I'm surprised. I wouldn't say I'm in shock.
You said you'd never been into the media center here about a year ago.
That was an
when we had the
exaggeration.
replay.
I've never been to Victory Lane. I have been to the media center a couple times. I think once I was in trouble or something.
But do you feel like you'll come in with some momentum next June, feeling like, yeah, I'm the race winner here from August? So.
No, I think it'll be totally reset by next June.
Okay, yeah. And thank you. And one for you, Coach. I'm wondering with Kyle right now, I mean, you got one victor right now, but Kyle, who's had a great run recently, he's still trying to get into the chase. We only have a few races to go. Watkins Glen is up next. Is there something he is concerned about with the leg? Sonoma wasn't an issue, but the Glen is a big deal as we're getting closer to the chase.
What we decided there, he feels like Watkins Glen is more of a challenge than Sonoma. And so what we did, he was scheduled to run the Xfinity race there, and we got him moved out of that race. But I also think, if you pick a racetrack where he feels like he's going to really have a shot to win, he loves Watkins Glen. So Hopefully we run well there. I think we're 13 out or something like that now, so that's in the back of your mind. And I hope we have a great day. Road racing is, you know, all kinds of things. Although I would say today, this is the most unusual Pocono. I mean, we were cautioned seemed like every 5 laps for a while there. I wasn't expecting, you know, for that to kind of take place here. A lot of wild things were happening. And so Watkins Glen, I think he'd probably pick that as one of the places he'd like to race. So hopefully we'll have a good day there. Yes.
Any additional questions? I think Chris Knight had one, and then we'll go to Dustin, Rick, a couple more. Go ahead.
Chris Knight, catchfest.com for Coach Gibbs. Dollar General had a weekend sweep here at Pocono, and I was just wondering what that means to the organization to have Dollar General win, and then what Rick said on the phone.
Yeah, I can honestly tell you, I think one of the most competitive people in the world is Rick, and Todd Vassos now taking over. It's a huge deal for us, for that company. Rick, probably the only place that he really promotes and works hard promoting his brand. One of the key places is NASCAR. And so it's a big deal for us. Whenever your sponsors, like I said, win, they're a big part of this. And it's unlike any other sport, and I love that part of it, in that you've got to have a great sponsor, and they're part of the team. It goes all the way back to Norm making it possible for us to get in racing, and he's still with us, and Interstate Batteries. But Rick is and Todd there with that company, Dollar General, they made a big presence. Of course, to win the SD2 was a big deal for them.
Let's go to Dustin.
Dustin
to the
Long.
left.
Thank you. Dustin Long, NBC Sports.
This
is for Joe and Jason. And Joe, I wanted you talked about the nervousness of being in pro sports where things can fall back. Can you kind of elaborate a little bit more from your perspective? And I just wanted to kind of get Jason's perspective on that type of element too. Is I'm sure in one sense it probably feels like it's taken maybe forever to get back onto this high, although in one sense it's kind of come quickly. How you keep the ship steered in the right direction?
Well, I think for me, you know, is you got to have great people. The thing I always was worried about, sometimes the athletes are confident and cocky, and I used to be so paranoid in football. I said, don't say anything, you know, keep your mouth shut. We're trying to just beat somebody, sneak up on them. And over here, it's, I don't know, it's a little bit that way, but for me personally, I've always been real nervous about being in pro sports, and I think it keeps you humble, and you're never more than one race away from getting pounded, and I always kind of look at it that way. We got great people really leading the organization. You got Todd Meredith back there, you got Dave Alpern, all the people that are working there, JD, and I think our whole front office, and I feel real good about those guys. Most of us have been together for 24 years. We've been through the good times and the tough times. But we really enjoy something like this. It's a thrill for all of us. I was trying to call everybody there from the winner's circle so that they could enjoy it. A bunch of them, you know, are not at the racetrack, and you hate that for them.
Jason, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, you know, we've heard it probably 3 or 4 times up here. It's a tough sport, and, you know, that's what makes it so rewarding to be up here today is you know that there's a lot of smart people, a lot of talented people. They work really hard each and every week, just like you do, that want to be here. So, you know, there's going to be times where you're on the down cycle, and you just work as hard as you can to minimize that. And then when you get it going in the right direction, you work even harder, you know, to keep it going in the right direction. So, I'm really excited about, you know, where we're at now. I think we're turning the corner. Obviously, we've already turned the corner. We're heading in the right direction. But there's some tough. I mean, each and every week, you're not going to come out here and just grab these victories. I mean, it's looked really, you know, well for Joe Gibbs Racing as a whole over the last several weeks. But we got to keep after it. We got to keep after it. The prize is still there, and we know in the last 10 weeks we got to step it up a few notches because the other group is. So we'll be ready.
Let's go to Rick.
Hey, Matt. Rick Bennell, the Charlotte Observer. Rick, I'm curious.
In the middle, Kerry. Right in the middle.
Jeff talked when he was in here about how, because you don't know when you're driving who else is running out of gas. He said that there was a point when he was absolutely incredulous, that he thought that he was 12th when he was in fact 3rd. I wondered if you had a similar experience. How deep into the end of the race did you say to yourself, oh my gosh, I actually am in the lead?
Well, I didn't know we were going to be in the lead until it came off turn 1, and I could see Kyle shaking his car going into turn 2 trying to pick up gas. So, I knew where we were as far as who was in front of me and what was going on. I did not know when the 22 ran out except for him telling me, and then nobody said anything about the 78. I just saw him pulling on pit road. So I knew at that point the 18 was the last man standing in front of us, and they were giving me intervals back to the 2 car, which they thought he was out of gas, so he must have slowed dramatically because he knew he was going to run out. So when I saw that green car up there shaking going into 2, I knew that we were going to have the lead as long as we had enough fuel to get to turn 3 and get off turn 3.
Other questions right there? Go ahead. We'll take 2 more.
Zach Sterniola for the Pocono Record.
3 more.
For Coach, knowing that Kyle Busch was running second at the time and then had a chance to actually come away with a win here, then he ends up coming out of here 21st. He still hasn't cracked that top 30. I know it's close, and I know chances are if he keeps running the way he's running, he'll get there. But how much emphasis did you put on getting him clinched into the chase today?
Well, I think, of course, crew chiefs, those guys, Adam and he, are always talking over strategy and stuff. To be quite truthful, I think Kyle just, pins his ears back and tries to get up front and go. And I think that was typical today. I think somebody asked him, hey, you ran out there. Did you try and save? And he goes, I was just trying to win. So I think, he's, as a group over there, they're doing the right thing. They're trying to stay up front. And, of course, obviously you're going to get a lot of points if you do that. But I think they really and truly, and particularly when you win 1 and then 2, I think you get on a roll and you're trying to go for it. So I think they got a good strategy. I'm not, I can't take credit for any of it. I think it's Adam and Kyle kind of charting what they're going to do. And today it was, a pretty big hit. He could have been more cautious, but I think he was probably in the situation he was in, he and Joey, they were going for it, going to try and win. And I think Matt and Jason were very smart in what they did because they were in a great position to back off. Matt did a great job, saving fuel. And even at one point I heard him tell Jason, hey, I can save you some more here. And it really paid off for us. But I think the two cars for us did what you would expect them kind of do. The one up front's trying to catch Joey and win, and then Matt was super smart in what he did. But I'm with Matt. These things are hard to win, and the fact that he's been at it and as good as he is, to not, haven't won another fuel mileage race, it's extremely tough. I would say for fuel mileage today was really exciting, though, because at the end there was a lot happening.
All right, we'll go to Scott and then finish up in the back.
Scott Walsh from the Scranton Times-Tribune. Matt, earlier you said you don't know how tough it is to not go fast when you want to go fast. How do you do that? How do you hold back a little bit and not not go fast and fight that resist that urge to go fast?
Yeah, I kept asking, and Jason Crazy kept telling me no in no uncertain terms. So I kept waiting for him to give me a green light and say, look, we're fine, and then you'd save enough just a little bit more and you're fine, because I really wanted to pick up the pace, and he was telling me there was no reason to, and he was absolutely right. But what we do every week is try to go as fast as we can, so to try to slow down and make sure we're going to have fuel is hard. But with the gap we had behind us made it much easier. The 48 started backing off, and the more he backed off, the more I would back off. And then once he had to pit, we had a pretty good cushion, so I was really just listening to them to tell me how close the 2-car was. I wasn't going to let anybody pass me. I'd rather run out of gas than have somebody pass me and beat me. But we had such a big gap that I could just manage the gap behind me and really not worry about the front, because we were far enough behind we weren't going to catch those guys anyway.
Last question in the back.
Zach Tantuetti, Redmond Racing. Jason, how gratifying is it to you to be winning in the Sprint Cup Series after all your years in Xfinity, like personally?
Oh, it's great. Actually, I was just thinking this morning when I was watching highlights from the last race here when Cole got his first win here with the 78 car a few weeks ago. I'm thinking, you know what, this is the place where I got my first sprint win as well. So it's a very special place to me, and obviously to come back here and get in victory lane today is victory lane is always gratifying, but especially at this place. This place, I really like it. It's a very unique racetrack, and it's tough. It's a tough place. A lot of variables, a lot of ways to play it, a lot of different strategies, and you know, it's a fun place.
All right, thanks for joining us, and congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
I guess Gary can quit. I know. Man, part-timer.